The story is about the way my life as an artist was affected by a health crisis I had almost 2 years ago. At the age of 38, and what I would have told you was in a state of perfect health, I had 2 heart attacks followed by an emergency triple bypass surgery. They were caused and then necessitated by a rare cardiac event that is usually diagnosed post-mortem. Needless to say, I was, like all of those around me, completely stunned. I mean, I was floored when this happened. When I woke from surgery, I knew I would never be the same. When I was taken home from the hospital, I knew I couldn't live as if it hadn't happened, even if I would have rather forgotten it and simply moved on. Recovery, excellent health, and a long life are still possible for me, but at that time and still, my sense of myself, my body, and my world had completely shifted. So eventually I was faced with the task of reweaving my life, of sewing together the separate pieces that were on the opposite sides of a distinct before and after. One of the places I turned to was my art. In many ways, going into my studio, turning to my creative work, came to save me, came to my rescue. Psychologically, I began patching myself together by opening myself as an artist and writer to the experience I had undergone. For example, I found myself wanting to learn about hearts, naturally. I studied medical models of hearts, spent many hours poring through gross anatomy textbooks with images of real dissected hearts, and I tried to learn as much as I could about the mechanics of hearts. I then began painting and writing about hearts and my reflections about what it means to be a human body. I let myself feel what had happened to me, and I gave myself permission to render those fears in paint and words, even if such renderings made me feel exposed. I also found that through my painting and writing, I was able to share my heart story with others, to encourage other women in particular to take good care of themselves, their bodies, and most especially their hearts. When I was trying to decide about all the things I could possibly talk with you today, I decided to tell you that story because the truth of it is, I think I'm making some of the best art I've ever made. And it's not that the technique is necessarily better, or even that the subject matter is more interesting than the work I was doing before my heart problems, but it has to do with its honesty and its risk. I drew upon my experience to make art, even though I did have times when I wondered if I should keep all of it, including its heavy emotional weight, to myself. One thing I want you to do today, if you do nothing else on this boat, is promise yourself that if something inside of you ever tells you not to pursue an idea, don't listen to it. If you ever have a hunch about something that you want to do in your next project, but you aren't sure why you have that hunch, where it comes from, or if it makes any sense, do it anyway. As an example, those of you who will become retail managers, if you have the desire one morning to put 2 fabrics or colors together in a window display in a way that seems completely outrageous, don't back down. Do it precisely because it is outrageous. Do it because it hasn't been done before, and maybe even because you are worried about what others will think. Those fears mean you're onto something, that you're onto something new, and that you need to chase it. That means that you're about to create something that is beyond what you already know. And how exciting is that? I'm reminded of a wonderful quote by Australian painter William Dobell. A sincere artist is not one who makes a faithful attempt to put onto canvas what is in front of him or her, but one who tries to create something which is in itself a living thing. Allow your ideas to become projects that move beyond what is already known and familiar and become entities with so much energy that they can't possibly be denied. Courage isn't about whether or not you are afraid. It's about doing something in the face of fear and doubt. Think of fashion designer Alexander McQueen's exhibition Savage Beauty, which is currently showing at the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Such incredible exhibitions don't happen when one is content to play it safe. And if you don't know of that exhibition, then I encourage you sometime in the next few days, Google it when you get home, go to the Metropolitan website, and you'll be floored. I also decided to share my story with you because a commencement is the type of occasion that calls for reflection as well as celebration. Life, as we all know, as I've already suggested, can be wonderful and terrible, exquisite and tumultuous, sometimes wildly dynamic during the same week, day, or even hour. We are fragile creatures, which means we won't make it through this condition of being human without being battered and tossed around by often incredibly rough seas. We come to life, to our art forms, to each other wearing our various scars. Sometimes what will happen, however, is you will realize just how capable you are of dealing with something difficult. As I worked through my own medical trauma, I discovered I was more resilient than I had known. And in many ways, this is because of art. When you face difficulties, remember to tap into your wellspring of resources. You will find your art there. If you hold it close, you will find strength you may not have known you had. Share that strength with the world too. Use your creativity and ingenuity to help you stay open to the possibilities of what you can create and what you can do with the special skills, insights, and abilities you have to offer the world. Economically, we all know we're living in trying times. We may be headed for another recession. You may be daunted by the market out there. You might, however, still have an idea in your head about that perfect dream job you're after. Hold on to that vision, because it is important, but know it is best to cradle it loosely. Know what really matters are the things you love that have led you to your goal. For example, what if your dream job is to work as an interior designer in Paris? What is the scaffolding beneath that wish? Is it your love of materials, interiors, colors, shapes, forms, and making interiors beautiful, pleasing places to be, combined with a desire to pursue those loves while living in an exciting city? Isn't it possible that there are many jobs, some of which you may not even know about, where you would be able to carry out these very same pursuits, even if they are not your dream job? Keep your minds open to the possibilities out there. I guarantee you that there are jobs and ways of using your abilities that you have never even imagined. As an example, before I worked as the editor at the Frisch Center for the Visual Arts, I didn't even know that museums had editors. And it wasn't until the day that I saw the position posted on the job board that I suddenly knew that I absolutely have to have that job. So my dream, to be honest, was not to be an editor, but my goals were an occupation where I could marry my love of art with my love of language, where I could help bring beauty into the world, where I could be part of a larger organization that was committed to the importance of art, where my background as a painter and an academic would not only be respected but desired. In this sense, being the editor at the Frisch Center has become my dream job. This is not to say, however, that it is my last dream job, that it was the only dream job I could have gotten, or that there wouldn't have been others if I hadn't even been hired in the first place. And if you can't find that perfect position for you, know that with your resilience, skills, and flexibility as artists, that you will be better equipped to create opportunities for yourselves and to eventually find it or create it. Know it may take a while, but keep your sights on what you value, on what was behind your decision to pursue the course of study that you did. And always remember, and this one is very important, and it goes to what Dr. Mink was talking about, have fun along the way and love well. You will find a place for yourselves. I say this because artists are a clever lot and aesthetic opportunities are abundant. Artists may be living and acting in locations where you least expect them. Very often they're behind the scenes, but once you scratch the surface, you realize that creativity makes up the building blocks holding up so many of the institutions around you. Think of museums again. When you step into the galleries of a museum, you are not only in the midst of the work of the artist being featured, but you're enjoying rooms shaped by graphic designers, curators, writers, editors, exhibition designers, lighting specialists, architects, and others. If you go to an exhibition on an opening night, your experience will also be shaped by floral arrangements, music, wonderful food, and carefully orchestrated ambiance. The artistry behind the scenes deliberately crafts an entire experience that allows you to engage with the work on view and share those moments with others. Once the event has ended, the photographers present are capable of extending the occasion into the future. Photographs will be loaded on websites, used for future graphic design pieces, and possibly some will be framed and hung on the walls of someone's home. In this instance, the artist, the photographer, becomes a purveyor of memory, becomes the arms that carry one moment into another. After today, some of you will stay in Tennessee, while others of you will move elsewhere. Some of you will return to your homes, which may be located in small towns or big cities. Some of you may find yourselves in places where art is on every corner, while others of you will move to places where the role of the artist is greeted with skepticism. Places where people ask, what good is art? If the latter is the case, You've decided to make your life in that location for some reason. Stay there, stick it out. Know that art can change communities. Find like-minded people and together build communities that embrace the arts. Remember all the places you have seen in your lives that have been changed by the presence of arts. Know that all the uniqueness you bring to the communities lucky enough to have you will make a difference. And set your sights and your standards for yourselves high. We live during a time when the world has become small. You are no longer restricted to living in one country. You may live in the United States but work for a company in Japan. You may live in Europe but work for a company in India. You may work from a home office while virtually connecting to clients across the world. What an incredible and interesting time to be alive. What an incredible and interesting time to be an artist. As you go out into the world, remember to stay committed to your visions, your ideas, and your ideals. Commit to them with enthusiasm. And of course, chase your dreams. Though you may face obstacles along the way, persevere and use all the ingenuity and perseverance that got you here to this morning to get yourselves to those various places you would like to land. I want to leave you with this final thought. As you celebrate today, consider the words of American painter Peter Bloom. The quality we admire most in a work of art is not a mere reflection of life, but it's life itself. So once again, congratulations. Now it's time for you to start creating life, and I think you should all give yourselves a big round of applause.
Thank you, Dr. Parker, for those words of wisdom and encouragement to our candidates. And as a token of our appreciation, we want to give you this small gift.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is now